Questions? I'll just let the front bench clear. We now come to the urgent question. Marion Fellows.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To ask the Secretary of State for the Department of Work and Pensions if he will make a statement on the Equality and Human Rights Commission's investigation into the treatment of disabled people on benefits.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, what a pleasure it is to be called to the box to respond for my department this morning. The Department of Work and Pensions is absolutely committed to providing services where every customer, including disabled people and our most vulnerable claimants, can experience fair opportunity and access to our services to ensure they get the support they need. The Department has been in negotiations with the Equality and Human Rights Commission since 2021 on this matter. It is, Mr. Speaker, disappointing that we have not been able to come to a mutually agreeable position. As the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions stated yesterday during his Select Committee appearance, our existing legal advice and understanding is both that the EHRC and DWP are still bound by confidentiality. We are seeking further clarity on what we can share. Therefore, I will not discuss those negotiations further. While I do not believe an investigation is necessary, we do at the Department, of course, take the EHRC's concerns seriously. We welcome the focus now provided in the terms of reference. We will work constructively, Mr. Speaker, with the Commission in their investigation to better understand their concerns. I hope the investigation will provide a deeper insight into some of the most complex cases the Department deals with. If any improvements are, of course, identified by the Commission, we will, of course, take steps rightly to address them.
We now, just let's come to Marion Fellows.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I should like to thank the Minister for her answer. I have great respect for her, but actually, if she's telling the House that they've been in negotiations with the EHRC for 3 years, and that they're now, just thinking about getting up, this is ridiculous, and it absolutely underlines what many people in this House, including myself, have said to the government for more than 3 years. And the SNP have been challenging this government over their treatment of those with illness or disability, and therefore we welcome this overdue investigation by the EHRC. Full transparency and accountability are imperative so the mistakes of the past can never be repeated. We know about that from all the other investigations that have been taking place recently. And if it does transpire that either the DWP or the Secretary of State or both have breached equality law, then the strongest possible action must be taken. It's at least those. At least that those who have suffered at the hands of this government actually deserve. I've spoken over the years to many disability organisations, and they are appalled at how the disabled people are treated, as am I. The UN the UN Committee on the Rights of Disabled People, the rapporteur has concluded that the UK government has failed to take all appropriate measures to address grave and systematic violations of the human rights of persons with disabilities. That's a further black mark against this government. And I've said it time and time again, but the UK government must change its course from the cruel and demonising approach to disabled people and start supporting them in the way it's being done in Scotland. The words dignity, fairness and respect mean something to disabled people in Scotland. The Scottish social security system is designed to treat people with dignity, fairness and respect. When on earth is this government or the likely following Labour government going to start doing that in the UK? It's an absolute and utter disgrace. Actually, that you're Proposed welfare reforms are dangerous and look to slash disabled people's incomes during an ongoing cost of living crisis, when disabled people are already facing higher living costs, from pushing more people into insecure and unsafe work to undermining the very principle of an extra cost benefit for disabled people. And now this EHRC investigation. How can the Minister possibly defend her government's ongoing assault on disabled rights just to cut costs?
Mr. Speaker, I agree with the Honourable Lady. We have much we agree about and real mutual respect, and I know that she comes from the heart in the concerns that she raises. But I would very much, Mr. Speaker, like to reiterate we are a compassionate department, welcoming to all, and we are very keen to get insights and learnings. And I gave evidence most recently to the Select Committee on that, where we made it very clear we're a learning department focused on individuals. And in fact, our trauma-informed approach is, I think, testament to that. I recently saw this in Hastings. It's being rolled out in South Yorkshire, in Plymouth, in all of our DWP innovation hubs, to successfully drive a programme of understanding into our core business and areas. And this includes in the child maintenance area and service areas. And meeting with my DWP colleagues, I know what a big difference it makes. And we do choose engagement right across the UK, a multi-agency approach, and she'll be pleased to know that I recently met with the independent reviewer of PIP and benefits, that process in Scotland, again for a mutually learning and understanding experience. And reforms that are being brought out are about disabled people's voices being fully heard, being fully understood, whether it's through our National Disability Strategy, through our action plan this year as well. And I also recently engaged, and it gives me a chance to pay tribute to the Domestic Abuse Commissioner, Nicole Jacobs, who covers England and Wales, where we've been trying very hard to understand tragic and complex cases. Our sympathies are always with the families, and we will continue those internal process reviews. And I hope the Chairman of the Select Committee will reflect that that was useful evidence given. We have a growing number of visiting officers for some of the most vulnerable too, 500 currently, 200 dedicated prison work coaches. Mr. Speaker, I want anybody watching, learning or reading this urgent question to approach us, talk to us. Many people do become involved with DWP at the most challenging times of their lives. We are here to help, whether it's through our youth hubs or our disability work coaches. Please tell us what's going on. We can link you to the right agencies, and we're absolutely determined to understand what the Commission is thinking and feeling and work with them.
Caroline Nokes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honourable friend, the Minister, will be aware of the work my Select Committee has done around the National Disability Strategy. But I specifically want to draw her attention to the words of the Honourable Member for Kingston upon Hull North earlier this week. Nothing about me without me. So what reassurance can she give me that disabled people are going to be fully included in the consultation that is ongoing about PIP? What reassurance can she give me that she continues to work with Disability Confident to make sure that disabled people are enabled to move into work and supported when they are in work? What reassurance can she give me that the victims of contaminated blood, of sodium valproate, of Primados and of mesh will not be subject to ongoing assessments year after year to make sure that they continue their entitlement to benefits? And what reassurance can she give me that she agrees with me that inclusion is not wokery? Including disabled people is crucial to make sure that they have their rights upheld.
Well, I thank my right honourable friend, and I was looking forward to giving evidence on many of those matters alongside my honourable friend, the Employment Minister, on many of those matters, and in fact had some work to come forward on both disability confident access to work, disability employment goal and much more. I would point her though to action equally. Just this week the government-backed independent view, the Lilac Review on disability entrepreneurs, absolutely listening to disabled people, having in the heart of the conversation a fantastic engagement on BSL, fully in BSL, has been at the heart of the conversation, and that too has been what we've been doing with the PIP consultation and wider reform conversation. And of course, the Buckland Review has been brought forward by this government. So I think she's absolutely right. I think inclusion works, Mr Deputy Speaker, because it's right for the bottom line of the business, the organisation, the community. If you embed it, it's not a nice to do, then it isn't anything that's woke, it's what we should be doing.
Opposition front bench. Angela.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. This is the first time in history that the Equalities and Human Rights Commission has decided to investigate whether a Secretary of State has, and I quote, committed unlawful acts by discriminating against disabled people in the way they have run the benefit system. According to an all-party parliamentary report, this may have led to the deaths of vulnerable claimants by suicide and other causes. Yesterday, appearing before the Department for Work and Pensions Select Committee, the Secretary of State feigned surprise that the Equalities and Human Rights Commission has taken this unprecedented step. Yet, he previously had been claiming that he and his department were close to securing a legally binding agreement to uphold disabled people's rights. I wonder, Mr Deputy Speaker, what has changed? So, Mr Deputy Speaker, will the Minister now recognise the seriousness of her predicament and apologise to disabled people for her department's obvious reluctance to engage meaningfully with the Equalities and Human Rights Commission? And could the Minister tell us why her department has presided over a benefits system which the Equalities and Human Rights Commission believes could be unlawfully discriminating against disabled people? And will she now take this opportunity to apologise to all of those disabled people that have had their lives torn apart by her department's potentially illegal administration of the benefit system?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Let me just first reflect on the Secretary of State responding in, of course, his appearance at the Select Committee. The investigation into the department begins on the basis of, and let me reiterate to the House, on a suspicion that something has occurred. It is not in and of itself conclusive proof, and that is what he said yesterday. DWP take our obligations under the Equality Act rightly, incredibly seriously, including the public sector equality duty, and will continue to cooperate with the Commission on their investigation. So I hope that helps the Honourable Lady opposite. We want everyone in DWP to be able to support customers in an individual, appropriate manner according to their needs. Our mental health training and reasonable adjustments guidance helps empower our colleagues with the skills to support every customer. And I can tell the Honourable Lady in this House, it is the greatest privilege of my life to have been almost in the most amazing, life-changing department for the last 5 years. We are fully committed to listening and learning from our customers, their representatives, and listening to their needs. And of course, people will be concerned about this response from the EHRC. But I think we are genuinely disappointed because, as I've said, this is a department constantly learning. Work is ongoing to strengthen guidance and training as part of a continuous improvement activity, ensuring our colleagues, and let's remind the House, our colleagues are local people living in their community who know their community and they know what people need. Whether it is people coming through the door from DWP, from local special schools, those who've been made redundant, those who have had a health condition, they know those people, they want to insure them, and we will continue to give them the necessary tools and confidence that our department will rightly respond to our most vulnerable customers.
Matt Hancock.
Thank you very much, Sir Roger. And as I depart this House as a Conservative MP, Sir Roger, can I thank you for your service and your mentoring over my years here. Will the Minister make sure that in responding to this investigation, those working on the ground, those working locally in job centres and in DWP offices across the country, are given the support they need to do their job? In West Suffolk, they do it excellently, brilliantly led by Julia Nix, who frankly deserves an honour, and it's been a pleasure to work with them. And will she ensure that when she considers this investigation, she looks not only at physical disabilities, and including, for instance, engagement with those who are supporters of wheelchair use, but also hidden disabilities, like those with neurodivergent conditions that are considered to the extent that they are disabilities, and make sure they are at the heart of this response too.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and welcome back to my friend who I learnt so much from as a PPS, as a Minister, and it's very pleasing to know that his work on neurodiversity and understanding others continues to be at the heart of what he brings to this House in these last few moments, it seems. I was recently at Cambridge at Neurobox, where they started on dyslexia needs, but wider learning needs in terms of the labour market and understanding, and helping people through the Access to Work scheme. And I know they mentioned my Right Honourable friend as well, and his interest in what he'd learnt from them. Whether it is the Buckland Review, the Lilac Review on entrepreneurship, which I mentioned earlier, those partnerships in communities such as Julia Nix, who is a stellar leader. And I would say to many people who are only hearing about the experience of DWP through the mouths of people in this House, of course those messages are important. Go and see your local job centre. There was a whole Recruit Britain campaign backed by employers just this week to make sure people understand the power of change that is in our local job centres.
Kirsten Oswald.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I asked the Minister about this issue last week, highlighting the report from the UN Committee on the Rights of Disabled People, which concluded that the UK has failed to take all appropriate measures to address grave and systematic violations of the rights of people with disabilities. She said, and I quote, that the UK Government was committed to ensuring that the UK is one of the best places to live and work as a disabled person. Does she really stand by that assertion, given the very serious concerns now raised by the Equality and Human Rights Commission? Does she understand why the chair of the EHRC has said that they are extremely worried? The EHRC has also said that they believe that the DWP may have broken equality law. What does she have to say on that to disabled people watching? She must understand this is a clear demonstration that this Tory government is content to simply disregard disabled people, their rights and their needs. And if she disagrees with that, let her tell us now specifically why.
Well, I thank the Honourable Lady for her remarks. And just this week, I met with many people with other disabilities in the media industry who are thriving working with ITV, and as a company working in this area as well, to try to help people when it comes to wider. Yeah, I'm just trying to. And also I met with a company working in this area, helping the NHS and other buildings to be more accessible, so that we can understand that again from DWP's point of view. So as she asked about whether I really do believe that this should be and can be the best place to be a disabled person in terms of its accessibility and opportunity. We are engaging and learning on a changing labour market and a changing needs when it comes to disability. To her previous point, as I say, we want everyone in DWP to be able to be supported as customers. We are committed to providing a compassionate service to all. We take our obligations under the Equality Act incredibly seriously. She's asked me, do we, including the public sector equality duty. And of course, we will continue to cooperate when it comes to the Commission on their investigation. And of course, as I say, I stand by my point that we are disappointed to be in this situation. We often deal with tragic and complex cases. Our sympathies are always with the families. We will continue to review and learn processes and understand why, of course, the Commission has taken this action.
Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Sir Roger. Navigating the benefit system is difficult enough for able-bodied people. But for those that become disabled because of illness or accident, it becomes a veritable nightmare just at the point when they need it most. Equally, a lot of employers concentrate on what people can't do as opposed to what they can do. So can my honourable friend update the House on the work that is going on to enable those people, particularly those that suffer disability due to illness or accident, to ensure that they're getting the benefits they need at their time of greatest crisis?
Minister. I thank my honourable friend for that point. Whether it's the rollout of Workwell or universal support, 15 integrated care systems will now pilot our Workwell service. They will be locally designed and to fit local needs and link very much to our existing work in the work and health space. And there will be work across London. I'm not sure whether it's specifically is part of London, but I'm sure we'll be able to let my honourable friend know. And as I mentioned, my dad became disabled, wasn't used to navigating the benefit systems. This often happens to people. Many people think people are born with disablement, but actually it can be acquired due to accident or incident. I would say there's a help to claim service on the .gov.uk site, a benefits calculator, and help to claim through the Citizens Advice. And do come and see our disability employment advisors. To his point about what can you do, very often with great support through access to work and other programmes, there's more that can be done, but that safety net at the most vulnerable time is rightly there for anyone in any situation.
Sir Stephen Timms.
Mr Deputy Speaker, the confidence of disabled people in the department is at a terribly, terribly low ebb. We were originally told that these negotiations would be concluded within a few months. In fact, as the Minister has told us, they've dragged on for 3 years and they've failed. The Commission has told me that now the negotiations have ended, there are no restrictions on what the Minister, what the Department can say about what was happening during those negotiations. At the very least, we need some explanation for the Department's view of why it hasn't been possible to reach an agreement. Can the Minister give us that explanation now?
Minister.
I thank the Right Honourable Gentleman and Chair of the Select Committee. As I said, we will work constructively with the Commission in their investigation to better understand their concerns. We are seeking further clarity on what we can share. Therefore, until those conversations have concluded, I'm just not in a position to share further. I think the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, of course, made his comments to the Department, but the Permanent Secretary also, just for the House's knowledge, told the committee that the terms of reference have been published, and we welcome that move in respect that they give a clearer sense of where the Commission wants to investigate. And we hope that the deeper insight into what is a very complex machine will allay some of the concerns that rightly he has said. And if there are breaches or ensure improvements, of course we will work to address them. The department is constantly learning. Work is going on to strengthen guidance and training as part of a continued improvement activity. He mentions confidence. I think it's really important that both our colleagues and those with disablement have the confidence that our colleagues have the necessary tools to help our most vulnerable claimants. And of course, we'll be taking everything that the Commission say into account.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I'm indebted to the member for Motherwell and Wishaw for obtaining this urgent question today, and her remarks are quite correct about the policy should be based on fairness, dignity and respect. In dealing with cases, I find often that those with mental health conditions, including sporadic mental health conditions, often become very unfairly sanctioned, go through much deeper stress as a result of it, and sometimes end up in desperate poverty as a result of it. In advance of this inquiry, could you tell us what the department is doing to ensure that the sanctions regime against people with disabilities, obviously, but particularly those with mental health conditions, is actually operating in a much more respectful and inclusive manner that assists them in dealing with the horrible problems they're trying to cope with themselves?
Minister.
I think the right honourable gentleman makes an important point about fluctuating conditions and needs, which is absolutely correct to identify, which is why we have a growing number of visiting officers, 500, and a growing number of our colleagues with a trauma-informed approach and close engagement with wider safeguarding and other needs. It's why that trusted relationship with your work coach, with your job coach, with the disability employment advisor, with us is so important, and this is really at the heart of our safeguarding protocols. They are in place for our healthcare professionals who undertake assessments. If they identify a new condition or concern, they will ensure that the individual's healthcare team are aware and communicating directly with them. And again, that's why the trauma-informed approach, and as I saw recently in Hastings in the service centre where decisions are being made, child maintenance or indeed in job centres is being rolled out to be at the heart of what we do.
Marion.
Mr Deputy Speaker, is the Minister aware that all the time I've been in this House, it's quite a long time, I've never picked on civil servants or the people that deliver policies on the ground, because I'm always reminded that when President Harry Truman was President, on his desk he had a sign that said, "The buck stops here." And the buck does stop here with the government. But can I reinforce points made earlier, that my constituents tell me that they find, and I'm sympathetic with this as chairman of the Autism Commission, that the staff that they meet are good about physical disability, but when it comes to neurodiversity, people on the autism spectrum and people on very little known mental health challenges, that's where the expertise. So is there more training we can give the people that assess to make that more effective and efficient?
Sir.
I agree with the honourable gentleman. It's a changed nature of disability and need, and that's what I was trying to draw out to one of the honourable ladies earlier, that different types of needs are coming our way. We just know it from our own constituency casework in terms of the support that they need in any realm. And so understanding different needs, approaching learning needs change too. I can assure him the department works closely with healthcare assessors and has put in a new process allowing PIP assessments to be paused when an appointment has already been scheduled, if we need to have, for example, additional information. So we are very aware that a claimant's needs are different, hence the Buckland review around autism. We know a huge amount of autistic people are very keen to work. Not enough of them do, and this is at the heart of our understanding as well. So I think we share the same view here, and of course the department will need to make those changes and have those understandings, and we come in a spirit of learning, and I want to reassure that to the House.
Jim Shannon.
Mr Deputy Speaker. Can I thank the Minister? The Minister is always, by our very nature, is compassionate and understands the issues. You can tell that by the way the Minister responds. But nonetheless, the system, Minister, as I often say, leads to incredible frustration. Those who are disabled, when their appeals are refused or their applications are refused, we then go to appeal. We do in our office, the biggest issue in our office is benefits. We have one staff member who does nothing else, Mr Deputy Speaker, and that's for our 5.5-day week at the lady works, and that includes appeals. But the point I want to make is this: DWP staff, while they do a good job and we recognise the job that they do, there needs, I believe, to be a better understanding of how the system works. In other words, when you fill your application in, a better understanding what it means to have COPD, what it means to have osteoarthritis, what it means to have diabetes, what it means to have blood pressure, what it means not to have back pain, chronic pain. Those are the issues. It means then that appeals, of which we won 85% of them, is an indication that perhaps maybe the decision in the first time wasn't right.
Yeah, I thank the honourable gentleman for the way he approaches this. And also it gives a chance for all of us to thank our casework teams who do so much, and indeed all of the staff across DWP. They know that our customers vary. They know that at times in their lives that they need additional support. That's why we've got those specialist services and roles in places and procedures, from the DWP visiting service to the advanced customer support senior leaders. We have the serious case panel review. We have the customer experience survey. We're always listening and learning, and it is a continuous need to do that. And he mentions particular types of fluctuating conditions, which has been mentioned today, and particular diagnoses. That's why in the engagement we've been doing on reforms, better understanding about those fluctuating conditions and needs is at the heart of that equally. And I know that's what disabled people have told me as well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ministers have had 3 years to reach a basic agreement to ensure daily business, the services the department provides, are accessible and not discriminating against disabled people. So is it laziness? Is it incompetence? Is it the chaos endemic across government that have resulted in absolute failure to reach a negotiation? And can the Minister acknowledge that this failure has never been seen in any other government department before and represents, under the Act, a further demonstration of discrimination against disabled people? The failure of the negotiations themselves represent the problem.
Minister.
I want to reiterate to the House, Mr Deputy Speaker, that we do, and for the honourable gentleman opposite, we do take our obligations under the Equality Act incredibly seriously. But I have also spoken about a changing nature of conditions and understanding and learning, and the public sector equality duty, and of course we will continue to cooperate and engage with the Commission on their investigation. And as I said earlier, we do not believe an investigation is necessary. We do, though, however, take their concerns seriously, and we will now focus, and I can undertake to the House, the Department will be focused on those new terms of reference so we can work constructively in the Commission with their investigation to better understand their concerns. The Honourable Lady opposite is tuntering again, and I understand her concerns, but I just would like to reiterate to the Honourable Gentleman across that we are very much determined to work with the Commission as a way forward. It's been very disappointing, I agree with him, that we've not been able to come to a mutual agreeable position. I can assure him, over the last 5 years in this department, it's a very large department which deals with many different areas and many complex cases, that at the heart of what we do, and I'm extremely proud of what we do, is a dedicated understanding of the individual and getting to the heart of the matter of their needs.
And Sherry.
Can I congratulate my honourable friend, the member for Motherwell and Wishaw, on securing this important question and continuing her fantastic work. in this Parliament on the rights of disabled people. Can I also congratulate the Equality and Human Rights Commission for opening this important investigation, and also take the opportunity to congratulate the EHRC on retaining their A-grade status as a national human rights institution in the face of malicious attempts to undermine the work they do for equality and human rights for all. Mr Deputy Speaker, I work with many fantastic disability charities in my Edinburgh South West constituency, including Health All Round, Tipperith and Garvold. But charities shouldn't have to fill the huge gaps left by government's dereliction of its duties. Discrimination against disabled people is a human rights issue, and that's something about which I care passionately as the elected chair of Parliament's Joint Committee on Human Rights. So can I ask the Minister this? We're about to go into a general election period. This is her opportunity to give a cast-iron guarantee on behalf of her political party that she will end discrimination against disabled people in the benefits system and end her government's continuing breaches of disabled people's human rights.
Minister.
Well, I appreciate there's a general election coming, but it all comes to the most vulnerable people in my department. I don't think it's a morning for politicking. I think it's about being compassionate and understanding. Absolutely understanding disabled people's rights and listening and learning, but focusing on individuals, whether it's the trauma-informed approach that I've spoken about, working with the Domestic Abuse Commissioner, using the opportunity of Workwell, universal support, the National Disability Strategy, the action plan, the trauma-informed approach, and vitally, as you said, not just hearing from disabled charities, but disabled people themselves to understand their needs right across the country. I think it's incredibly important that we do take this seriously, and I cannot say anything further to the House that we are determined that if this investigation under the terms of reference gives us a deeper insight as to what the concerns are, and I've spoken to the Select Committee about how the department deals with the most complex cases, of course we are determined that should be any improvements identified by the Commission, we will take every step to address them, and I hope that gives her and disabled people and those with health conditions the comfort that of course we take their needs and wants extremely seriously at the heart of this government.
That concludes the responses to the urgent question. Can I thank the opposition front benches and the Minister for their participation?